Now at 4, a school bus accident and one child killed.
Great young man.
A heartbreaking situation for so many, the family, the school, first responders, and the drivers involved.
It was what we refer to as a T-bone collision.
The dump truck driver, I can tell you that he was pretty upset.
Coming up, a look at the scene, the stop signs, the 4 other children who were hurt, and how the school is responding.
It is a developing situation as investigators pull out all the stops to figure out what happened and possibly press charges. The news at 4 is next.
Live from Idaho's #1 news, this is the news at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This has been a sad day in the news, and if you have not heard, a deadly bus crash this morning. It happened at about just before 8 o'clock, and undoubtedly the tragedy of it all is being felt throughout our communities as Kuna mourns the loss of an 11-year-old boy. Good afternoon. I'm Dee Sarton.
I'm Carolyn Holly. As you said, Dee, this has been a tragic day from the beginning. We can get you the latest now as Kuna 6th grader Daniel Cook died as a result of that crash between a dump truck and a school bus. 12 children were on board that school bus. 4 other students were hurt.
The investigation will take weeks, but Idaho State Police say they do anticipate charges will eventually be filed in this case. The crash happened, as I said, just before 8 o'clock in a rural area of Nampa at the intersection of Deer Flat and Happy Valley Roads. The bus was on its way to Crimson Point Elementary in Kuna, and this is video from the scene just after the accident. Of the 4 children injured, 2 students were treated and released this morning. 2 other students are still being treated for their injuries at St. Alphonsus in Boise, and we understand that both of them are alert and awake as they're being taken care of. The bus driver was also treated and released.
We have team coverage this afternoon to answer many of your questions. We are going to start with Justin Core.
Well, thanks, guys. As you said, the lead investigator believes charges will be filed in this case. However, the full investigation won't be complete for weeks. After that, they'll turn their findings over to the prosecutor, and we will see. Now, I'm live right here at the intersection of Happy Valley and Deer Flat, as you said, in rural Canyon County. Take a look at this map. This shows where the bus and dump truck were traveling just before the crash. We're told the school bus was traveling east here on Deer Flat with a stop sign. The dump truck was traveling north on Happy Valley Road. Speed limit there is 50 miles per hour. There's a 2-way stop intersection, not a 4-way. Lead investigator says the truck driver, who we learned lives just down the road, did see the bus moving through the intersection and tried to stop, but could not. The truck hit the bus on the right rear axle and spun it around, according to Mary Patton. Patton lives right at this intersection and said the collision sounded like an explosion. She rushed out to find a terrifying scene with a nurse who happened to drive by trying to save the life of a seriously injured boy. That boy was Daniel Cook, and according to Patton, was sitting right where the truck hit. He died on the scene. Patton describes what she saw when she boarded the bus to try to help.
Oh, it was, the poor little kids were just, they were crying. I consoled them and told them everything would be fine and that their parents would be coming and that to not be scared, and that there was this little boy I seen with he had some glasses on, and he was crying so hard, and I just said, you know, you're going to be okay, just hang in there, and help's going to come and get you, okay? And he kind of calmed down a little bit after that.
Patton soon learned that her own 2 nephews were on the bus as well. She got them off and took them home. Now, a few other things we do know. This was the regular bus driver on this route, although she was running about 20 minutes late this morning, according to Patton's nephews. And again, charges are likely, but we don't know for whom. However, the lead investigator, a corporal, says in any accident, someone is normally at fault. Back to you.
Thank you so much for little ones to be exposed to there. The word, though, of the death of this student hit very hard throughout the Kuna School District this morning.
And as you can imagine, for the administrators, there are many challenges as they balance dealing with grief and shock with the need to provide normalcy for students and staff. Stephanie Zeppelin is live in Kuna with information on how the school district handled this tragic day.
Yeah, Dee, they're actually talking about that right now. They are in a 4 p.m. meeting about what happened to assess how they handled the situation and what they want to do differently next time. As you may know, Wendy Johnson, the superintendent, this is her first year on the job, and this has been quite a trying semester. They had school today, though, Johnson says, for several reasons. They wanted to maintain as much of a normal day as possible for those students and give them also a chance to access a lot of resources. They had counselors from within the Kuna School District and other districts across the valley, so they wanted to make sure that both the students who were on the bus and were at school today, as well as other students hearing about this tragic accident, could have access, could have someone to talk to. But if they wanted to, parents could come and pick up their kids. Johnson said she is just humbled by how many people have reached out to the Kuna School District, but it is having a huge effect on the entire community. Here's what she had to say.
We're a tight-knit community out here, and everybody, I would say not only our staff, that specific school, our operations, our community as a whole, I would describe what we're experiencing as in mourning.
Now, as I said, a lot of people have come out to help. They got more than 40 volunteers from across the Kuna School District to ride home on those buses with the students in case they were scared or had questions or just needed a hand to hold. Superintendent Johnson says that they had more than 40 people volunteer to do so, so they were able to have 2 adults in addition to the bus driver on every single bus going home today. They will continue to do that tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll reevaluate, but we'll do that as long as they feel it's necessary to make sure the students feel safe and secure on their way to and from school. The counselors for the Kuna School District also gave cell numbers to some of the families whose students were severely affected by this tragedy. So they are really pulling together. It's a tragic time, it's a hard time, but they are pulling together. They're all united, trying to make this as normal as possible for the students and trying to do this as smoothly as they can.
You know, there's so much to think about, and you really have to really say, I'm glad that those folks think through all those eventualities, like making sure the kids feel safe on the bus going home.
That had to have been soothing for a lot of the kids there to see those 40 volunteers show up for that. Of course, it was a traumatic day for parents and students, but also the driver of the truck and the driver of the bus.
The dump truck driver, I can tell you that he was pretty upset. Obviously, he was doing what he could to render aid. He's the first one there. He knows what happened. He knows there's kids hurt, and so he saw the nitty-gritty, if you will, of the crash scene and the damage that had been done, up to and including the deceased boy. And he did what he told me. He did what he could to render aid to that boy, and he knew that it was futile.
Well, also dealing with this loss of a child, neighbors, and friends.
Today, News Channel 7's Karen Zakalak talked to a friend of the family and has more about Daniel Cook.
Dee and Carolyn, Daniel Cook was 11 years old. He was actually about to turn 12 next month on January 1st. A family friend calls him a kind young man. Adam Cobb knows the Cook family well and is also their neighbor. He says he saw the accident scene this morning on his way to work, but had no idea at the time that Daniel was one of the victims. He describes him as a kid that you'd want to have around as an example for your own children.
The kind of kid that you want at your house and that you want your kids associating with, and he did. He associated with our family, and we love him, and so just a good boy.
Again, Daniel Cook went to Crimson Point Elementary School. We're told he wrestled and played football. Cobb tells us the family is gathered together today. They do have other children. They're, of course, trying to do the unthinkable, deal with the devastating loss of a child. Dee and Carolyn.
Our hearts so go out to all of them. Thank you, Karen. Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Luna released the following statements after hearing about today's news. It reads, "Today is a sad day for Idaho. Our children are our most cherished treasure. As a father and grandfather, my heart and prayers go out to this child's family, loved ones, the Kuna School District, and the entire Kuna community."
Sentiments of so